back entrances again has that association with tradition. This is important. Of course, it associates with the Midwestern porch, right? So the Midwestern porch is this place, you know, sort of gone in American suburbs, that place where you would communicate with neighbors. You sit out on the sort of cooler evenings. Here, when you get a higher density form of suburbia, if that's fair enough, you retain that sense of the tradition, and yet the organization produces this rather kind of century-like, kind of neo-rationalist type of architecture of these three doors here, and also the sockets down there losing themselves again in the. The section is called Future Muse. How am I doing, Sarah? How am I doing? So just start flagging if it gets going on too long. So Future Muse here. In England, there's this tradition of the Muse House. And this is on the back of Holland Park Avenue. And the Muse House is the servants' quarters, right? That's where the coachman lived in the Victorian era. It's a small house, you know, with an entry for the coach. There you see that black entry. Today, they're super fashionable, very expensive. Austin Powers lived in a Muse House, right? This kind of thing. 1960s type of, let's say, renovation. But there's the Grand House in front and then the Muse House at the back. Okay, so looking at here is a new urbanist development in just north of Des Moines, Iowa, here. And, of course, the new urbanist principle is to try and retain that sense of the porch and the connection, the human connection to the community is carried out through the porch by taking a car around the back, right? But these houses are so large that the garage is, in order to keep the garage in scale with the house, they are excessive. They're larger, you know. I call this a future muse because the Muse House is where, in the 1960s, you'd put your son when he grew too objectionable, became a teenager, right? That's where he goes. There's a term now developing, and maybe you've heard this, called slackwazi, the boomerang generation, or the slackwazi, and it's you guys, right? College students whose lifestyle that will be afforded by your education will be nothing like the one that you have. This year you go back and live with your parents, okay? Sorry, I'm just the messenger. Right? The slackwazi, or the boomerang generation. That term will be a badge of pride, hopefully. Anyway, so what I'm imagining in places like this, of course, all right, this is the back of the house and the garage at the back here. What I'm imagining is a sense that this will be the place where you'll stick those children, like the empty nesters. The parents who were empty nesters become the cluttered nest. And this is happening, of course, multi-generational housing. But something like this, you know, and the space on the interior. I mean, imagine that being